Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to make the Calliope Pendant, and this is the little pendant using the 18mm Rivoli that we got in Potomac Beads Best Bead Box for this month, for December. And it's so pretty that I had to just bezel it right away and share it with you. Very simple to make. If you need a last minute gift or a last minute necklace that you want, I've put it together with actual chain and a metal bail. This way, all you're doing, the only beading you're doing is the pendant, and the rest, it's so easy. So very quick, very easy. All right, so I'm going to grab the materials and we'll get a materials list going. Let's get a materials list going. So you need the 18mm Rivoli, and here it is. I just didn't have one that wasn't bezeled. I've done both of them already. I just adore this side stone. It's such a statement, but it's not over the top. You'll need 2 colors of Delicas because I did alternate my Delicas, so you can use one color if you like. A 15-0 seed bead, and I have here a Charlotte, and the Charlotte is a little bit smaller than a 15-0, and I have it as the interior round here. And the reason I have the Charlotte is because with all the different new stones that are out there, some of them are slightly bigger or slightly smaller, and having a Charlotte really gives you a lot of options to fit a stone if it's slightly bigger or smaller than your bezel. So I would highly recommend that you have just a little 5-gram bag of Charlottes or tube in your stash in your favorite metallic if you do bezels. So if you need it and the 15-0 is maybe just slightly too big, you don't have a problem making your bezel. Okay, 11-0 seed bead. I've got some chain. This is a Rolo chain. I think it's a 4mm Rolo chain. I have 3 bicones, and I took these bicones from the Potomac Beads December Best Bead Box, and I just wanted to mention, when I did the review of the Best Bead Box, I had dropped one of my bags of bicones. There were 4 bags of bicones that you get in that box. I dropped one and didn't realize it, so I only had 3 out on my mat, but there are 4 bags, so just let you know. So I took 3 of those. I think that's okay. They're meant for the pattern, but I think you probably have enough extra that you can steal a few. All right, I've got a lobster claw clasp. I've got several 6mm jump rings, a stop bead. I have this little ring here that is about, this one's almost 10mm and this one's maybe slightly bigger. What I did is I put it on my chain so that your lobster is going to attach to this like so. That's how you're going to attach it, and then you're going to have this little bit hanging down. So that's how your necklace is going to close. I have a head pin, a 2-inch head pin, which is going to be, we're going to make a little drop out of this. We're going to put this little 10 by 6mm teardrop shape bead, and then we'll put a little bicone and a couple of 11-0s, so that'll be the drop that's on the bottom here, like that. Let's see, you'll need a size 10 and 12 beading needle. I'm using 8-pound Fireline black satin. You have a stop bead. I'm out of breath. I think, oh, you'll need this, did I say this bail? So this is a bail that I purchased on Amazon, and it's so pretty. I absolutely adore it. I'll see if I can find a link for you for this bail. Maybe I can find it on one of the bead websites, my go-tos. So there you go. It's everything. Did I say Fireline? Everything. Okay. Anything I forgot, I'll put in the description box below the video. Anything I need to add. Don't forget to check that for all supplies, sizes, colors, shapes, everything that you need. Places to purchase if you like. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when I upload a video. All right, let's get started. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 36 inches of thread. Put on a stop bead about in the middle. So you're going to have a little more thread on the working thread side because you have, the part that went through your needle. Because we'll work one side of the bezel with one thread and the other side with the other thread. So I've picked up and dropped down to my stop bead 46 Delicas, and I alternated my colors. I started with a red, then I put a gold, red, gold, and so on. So I started with a red, ended with a gold. I'm just going to sew those into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead. I'm just going to make sure that's down by my stop bead, and this is what I have. So now we're just going to start peyote. I told you this is a very simple project. So we're Xing the red bead. I'm going to skip the gold, pick up a gold, and sew through the next red bead. Like that. When I pull, it's going to place that gold bead on top of the previous gold. And then I'm just going to do that all the way around. Picking up a gold, skipping the gold, sewing through the red. If you're alternating, you can easily just pick up a gold, sew through the red. If you're not alternating, if you're just using one color, picking up a bead, exiting this one, skipping the next bead, and sewing through the following bead. Like that. Just do that all the way around, and then we'll step up. Okay, coming down to the end, got a couple of beads to put on. Putting on this gold one. Now I'm going to step up. So picking up a gold, skipping this gold, sewing through the red one and then the gold one on the diagonal. And now I'm stepped up. That's what it looks like. And I'm ready to put some more beads on. Okay, let's add some beads. Just going to back off a tiny bit. Okay, so now we are exiting a gold bead right here. We're going to start adding some red beads. Let me just move these guys out of the way. So picking up a red Delica, we're doing another round of Delicas, and I'm going to sew through every sticking out gold bead. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to keeping my thumb sort of in the center and giving it a little pull forward and in a little bit. Not, going crazy, but just helping it curve a little bit as we go along. So see, just like that. So just keep doing this until you get to the end. And then step up and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So this is what I have. So now we're going to continue on with that same thread and we're going to add some 15-ohs. So I'm just picking up a 15-oh and I'm going to sew through every sticking out bead. Not putting the stone in yet. Get it in eventually. So just adding 15-ohs all the way around. Like that. Pulling in a little bit as I go. So you're just going to do that all the way around, and then I'll let you step up on your own and put another round of 15-ohs on. So we'll have 2 rounds of 15-ohs. Okay, here's my step up here. I'm going to sew through this 15-oh and then the one 15-oh on the diagonal. Give a nice pull. This is what it should look like. Okay, we're back. So here we are. This is what this side looks like. Now I'm going to flip my piece around. I'm just going to leave that thread there for now. I'm going to flip it around and thread my my tail thread, the one that had the stop bead on. Of course, take your stop bead off. You'll be exiting this red bead right here. So I want this thread to be coming out of these gold beads. So all I'm going to do is sew just through this gold bead on the diagonal to move my thread to where I can put some more beads on. Give it a little pull. And it's nicely shaped right now. I'm going to put my stone in. Here we go. Let's pop that guy in. Gosh, I love this color. It's so gorgeous, isn't it? Look at that. All right, 15-ohs. So we're exiting the gold Delica. We're going to add a round of 15-ohs. Just holding the stone with my thumb. Like this. Just going to do this all the way around. Pulling in a little bit as we go around. It's not going to stay for a while. It might not even stay. Probably won't even stay until after we get another round of 15-ohs on. So just pulling in gently. I want to pull it out of shape at this point. So here, just sewing. Putting a 15-oh on between each Delica, and then I'm going to let you step up and put another round of 15-ohs on. So 2 rounds of 15-ohs on this side, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I've put on 2 rounds of 15-0s in the front here, and then you have to decide if you want to put another round of 15-0s or Charlotte. So I'm going to use the Charlottes, but you can see how another round of 15-0s would work if you don't have the Charlottes. But I'm going to use a Charlotte, and I've switched my beading needle to a size 12 just because it's sometimes the Charlottes get stuck on the bigger beading needles. So here I'm just going to pick up a Charlotte and sew through every sticking out 15-0. Charlottes have one little facet. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. It's hard to tell unless I pull in super, super close. But it has one little facet that's just so pretty when it catches the light. They don't always pop on top, but when they do, they're so pretty. Like you can see that little facet right there. See that guy? Pull in a little closer. I don't know if you can see it. But when the light hits it, it just sparkles like it has a crystal in it because it has that one facet. All right, so I'm just going to do that all the way around, and then we'll continue. Okay, so putting on my last Charlotte, so I'm going to be stepping up. So here's my bead. Exiting this bead, I'm going to sew through this one, and then this Charlotte on the diagonal. Look how pretty that looks. Like that, and now I have my bezel done. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the other side, so leave that thread, and we're going to sew this thread in. So all I want you to do here is just, you're exiting one of the 15-0s, just sew on the diagonal through this 15-0, through this Delica, and then just sort of weave your way through the Delicas on the diagonal until you've sewn that thread in and it's nice and secure. And then we'll go on working with the front thread. All right, so we'll get rid of this one. Okay, we're back. So I've sewn in the back thread, and just a little note, if your bezel is loose, I mean, mine's perfect, but because the stones are varying a bit these days, if it's loose, when you're sewing in that thread, you can actually sew all the way around the bezel to fill those beads up with thread, and it tightens it up a bit, but just make sure everything's on the diagonal so there's no thread showing. All right, just a little tip. All right, so here I'm on the front of my bezel again. I'm exiting this last bead. I've stepped up. I'm exiting right here. I'm just going to sew through this one. I want to get to the side where my Delicas are, so I'm sewing on the diagonal through this one, through this gold Delica, through this red one, and then through this, let's see, which one do we want to go through? I can actually go right through that red one. We're just going to do a little stitch in the ditch. Whoops, we're going to do a little stitch in the ditch. So just pick where you want your stitch in the ditch. Let me see where I did it on my other one. I think I did it on the gold. So I'm going to go through one more. I'm going to come out through one of the gold beads on the side, just like that. And then you're going to pick up your 11-0s. So we're doing very simple here. I'm just going to do a little stitch in the ditch. So pick up an 11-0. So that's your round bead. Exiting this gold Delica, sew through the next one. I'm just going to do that all the way around, just sewing through every gold Delica, like this. And this is the only decoration I'm doing. And I think it's just so pretty and sort of elegant on its own. Like that. All right, so that's what you're going to do all the way around. All right, so meet me at the end. Down to the end, my last stitch in the ditch. So here's my 11-0. I'm going to sew through this gold one. It's a little tight fit, but you can get it. There we go. I went back to my size 10 beading needle at this point. And then I'm just going to sew through, let's see, we're going to just go right through this one because this is a nice tight bezel. So here, now I'm exiting one of the stitch in the ditch beads. So I put on the last one and then I sew through the gold one and then up through this stitch in the ditch bead. And this is what I have. Okay, let's attach the bail. Now, if you want to at this point, you can actually put a separate thread on to put your bail on. It's up to you. Just doing it all in one for today. So here's my metal bail, and you see how the loop is facing me? Well, I want to put my thread through this way, so I just added that jump ring on right here. It's about a 5mm jump ring, 5 or 6, depending on the size of your, you know, of how everything fits. But this is working. I believe this is 5, but it could be 6. I'll check for sure. All right, so here what I'm going to do here is I've added one of my 4mm bicones. I've gone through the jump ring that I put on, and I'm going to go through my other 4mm bicone, exiting here, just going to sew right through the next one. And it's going to be a little picky here, but just make sure you turn everything around and make sure that this ring goes right in between the bicones. You don't want it hanging on the thread. You want the bicones to hold it on. See that? So just hold it with your thumb and pull like that, and it's going to push the bicones together. But I'm fine with that. I think that looks really pretty. So then you're exiting that other 11-0 here. You want to make sure that you go through this Delica here, and it may pull things out of place, but don't worry about it. You can pop it back into place. So I'm going to work through this bicone right here, and you might need to change your needle to a 12, just because it's not that it's a tight fit as much as that just getting around that bead. So here, I just want to make sure it's secure. So you're going to sew through. So here, this is what it looks like when it goes on. Notice, see that how the ring is held on by the bicones? And then to reinforce, so you're exiting this Delica here, you just want to go back through the Delicas. So here, just like that. I want to get back to the other side again. So just sewing through all the beads on the diagonal till I get to the other side. So through this gold one right here, and then you want to reverse direction, right, and go through this one. Like that. Just take your time. And then through the 11-0. And then up through all the beads, you know, the whole bail that you just put on. So up through the 11-0. Through the bicone and the ring. Down through this bicone. Through the 11-0. Like that. And then just go through some of the beads on your bezel again until you feel that that's nice and secure. And there we go, I have our pendant. Okay, we're almost ready to put the chain on, but before we do that, we want to just do one more little thing. This is optional. You don't have to do this, but if you'd like to, you can. I'm just going to show you. So here's the back of one, and here's the back of the other. So on this one, do you notice how the point of the bezel kind of comes a bit above the beads? And that can be annoying, rubbing on your décolleté, and it could rub the finish off and such. So what I've been doing is putting a round of beads. So these are fire polish beads all around the edge on the back, so that when I hold it up, this is just going to lay against your décolleté, not the point. So why don't let me just show you how I did that. And here we'll just use this one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to thread my needle with a couple of feet of thread and put a stop bead on and leave enough of a tail to sew in. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to sew through this last round of Delicas before the 15-0s. For me, it's this red one right here. Just going to put my needle through. My stop bead's going to stop the thread. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a 4mm fire polish, and an 11-0. And I'm going to sew through the third, not counting this one, the third Delica after this one. So don't count the one you're coming out of. 1, 2, 3, go through that one. Now it's a little tough to get through these Delicas, but you can just go down a needle size and it should be fine. So 11-0, fire polish 11-0, coming out of here, don't count this one, go through the third bead, 1, 2, and number 3. See, this is where just got to maneuver your needle around a little bit. Okay, and you're going to just do that all the way around until you get to the end, and I'll show you how to finish it off at the end. Okay, coming down to the end. So before we put our last little group on, sew in this tail thread. I'm going to leave it open because it's going to be hard for you to see where the needle goes, so I'm going to pull it out of the way. But if you don't sew it in now, it's going to be hard to sew it in later. So I would just, you're coming through the red one, sew through this gold Delica, and then reverse direction, and you could sew through your bezel a little bit to tighten it. All right, so I'm not going to do that, but I want you to do that before you put on your last round. I'm just going to move this out of the way. So here, I'm exiting the red Delica here, and I want you, this is going to be a little bit different. Pick up your beads, so your 11-0, fire polish 11-0, exiting here. I just want you to sew right through the thread where the tail thread was coming out, right here. See that? So all you're doing is skipping a bead and sewing through the next bead, just like that. And you're going to have to sort of dig in there a little bit, but you'll get it. So when you put that on, it's coming out. See, it's coming out of the same bead as the tail thread, and then see, now you wouldn't be able to see it if I had sewn mine in, but you are under there. There's a little red Delica under there, under this 11-0. So you're just going to sew through this 11-0, and then, so that's the first 11-0 and the first fire polish that you put on in the beginning, and that's going to sit everybody nice and evenly. So I hope that was, you understood that. And then all you're going to do at this point is pick up an 11-0 and put an 11-0 in between each of your fire polish beads, like this. Go all the way around, and then sew around again and reinforce and pull all the beads together, and see how it pulls it in a bit like that. Okay, so do that, and then meet me back here, and we'll add the chain. So you want to put some half-hitch knots in there after as well, and then we'll add the chain. Okay, we're back. So here's the pendant, and now I'm going to show you how to put everything together with the chain. So just in preparation for putting the chain together, I've taken my head pin, I've put on my drop, an 11-0, a bicone, and an 11-0. I'm just going to make a simple loop. So bending that over. I'm just going to clip it off to about there. And then I'm just going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm going to make a simple loop. You can wrap a loop if you like, but I'm just doing a simple guy, just like that. Make sure you get it in nice and tight. I never do these very well on camera, but there we go. So that's a good loop right there. So we have that done. So we have our little piece ready, and then I'm going to take my chain, and what I did with my chain is I put a jump ring, a 6mm jump ring at the end, and my lobster claw. Now my lobster fits through this bail, so make sure your lobster claw is going to fit through that bail before you put it on, otherwise put it on after. So I'm going to just take, and then at the other end of the chain, I put on a jump ring and that 10mm ring, decorative ring that I had, and then I put on another jump ring, and I put on, like a 1.5 to 2 inch piece of chain. So this is what I have. And what's going to happen is, let me just pull out so you can see the whole thing. Okay. So what's going to happen is I measured it this way. I took the chain, I put it around my neck, and from here to here, before I put on the lobster claw and this, is about 18 inches. So from here, all the way around. So when you add the lobster claw, so we're talking about 18.5 or so inches, whatever size you need. And then, so after I put the amount around my neck that I wanted, I added the ring because the lobster claw is going to attach here. So that's going to give me the length of my necklace. This is where it's going to clasp. And then I'm just going to take the loop, the little drop that I wrapped, or that I just made a loop with the head pin. I'll get it out eventually. I'm just going to put it on there, close it up. You can go as fancy as you want. You can, as I said, you can wrap a loop. So then I just have that. So when I close my necklace, so I'm going to put the lobster claw, it's going to go around this loop. I have this, there's my necklace, and then I have this little drop, chain and drops. If you're wearing your hair up, this will go down your neck and you'll have that little drop, and you're done. This is what it looks like. Just like that. So very easy, very, let's go this way. So easy, very, not a stressful piece to make. Very pretty when it's done. Here, I'll just wrap it around like that. Very pretty when it's done. Here's the other one, so we have two. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have fun making this, and I hope it was a helpful little last moment gift, or little necklace that you might want to wear. All right, so thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.